Brian, you don't gamble and you don't drink. What the heck brought you to Reno, Nevada?
I used to gamble and I used to drink, but how I originally got to Reno, Nevada was grew up in Vegas, wanted to go to college, did not want to be near mom or dad. Mom was in Las Vegas, dad was in Manhattan Beach, California, and Reno seemed like a perfect distance away from both of them, and it wasn't too far away, so that's how I ended up in Reno.
I did the exact same thing, man. I wanted to get out of town and away from home. It's a drive, so there's a good barrier between mom and dad popping over, and I get it. So what was it like going to UNR?
So UNR, back when I went, I've lived in Reno 34 years, so when I came to UNR, it was 1989. This is like pre-internet, it was a totally different animal then, and it was way smaller. There was probably 8,000 or 9,000 students, and again, when I lived in the dorms, at least half, if not 75% of those kids were from Las Vegas, so it was like you got to leave home. I only knew 2 other people when I came here, one of my roommates, another girl I knew from high school, but that was kind of the original why I went to Reno. And you know, you went away to college. How did you go where you went?
Yeah, I went to Washington State University, go Cougs. But I loved it. There was a sense of community as soon as we went there, but there was a handful of us from home that went there, and other people go across. But I think one of the best things about going to college and a place like UNR, my experience with Reno, is it's very community. And I know you stay in touch with those friends that you made back then. You were really involved with the Greek system.
Like you said, you get a lot of local people when you stay in state for school, just because for a lot of people, it's more of an affordability issue. When I came up here, I said a lot of people from Las Vegas, and between playing sports and being in the Greek system, a lot of those people stayed here. That plan was never to stay here. It was just to go to school. I wasn't thinking past that. And by staying here, it has been an amazing thing, because there's lots of now 50-plus-year-olds that we all are that are so involved in the community. It's kind of nice because you'll always know somebody, whatever it is that you're trying to do.
And like what happens to a lot of people that go off to college, myself included, you fell in love.
Yes, I met my wife, and that's really how I stayed in Reno. She was from here, went to high school here, for the most part grew up here. And so you meet in college, and before you know it, you're graduating, you get a job, and life just starts happening.
Talk about what it was like to raise your family here in Reno.
I have 2 kids. They are now 26 and 22, a boy and a girl. And raising kids here, especially then, and even now still, it was just great. Like I said, it was much more how yours, I'm sure, and my childhood was, where you don't have to sort of keep your thumb on and just be so cautious of what all your kids are doing. By knowing so many people and interacting with so many people, it was just a great place to raise kids, with schools and sports and all kinds of things.
I know your son was quite the basketball athlete, and I'm imagining that started at a young age. How did you feel the community really supported somebody with his kind of talent? And what was it like for a young athlete in the school district?
So at that time, again, it was different. When I was his age, they didn't have AAU and travel sports and all these kinds of things. For those who don't know, my son is 6'8". So he played basketball. He played a lot of other sports as well.
He's a small giant, let's be honest.
Yeah, he's definitely that. And so it was nice, because at that time it was a new thing here in Reno. A couple former Wolfpack players that I became friends with, and one of the other high school coaches at another school had a summer travel program that we got involved with. And we sort of tried leaning into other people's experiences on how that worked, because they all played college sports. I did not. And it made it nice for him to be able to sort of figure out how to get recruited and how to get exposed and things like that. And in Reno, that particular program is no longer here. I think there's other programs now, because it's been a while since we were involved in it. But the cool part about Reno is they're really trying to help other people in our area get where they want to go, which has been an amazing thing.
I think you guys are certainly on the map when it comes to high school athletics and so forth, and the travel teams and that sort of thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, and for a community that has grown a lot, it's very cyclical for us, because again, finding kids that are that big does not happen all the time. And in sports, sports like basketball, you better have a couple of big kids. So I know, honestly, even the year or 2 before him, we were actually a better program because we had a lot of big kids. But yes, it's they do a lot to help people in lots of different sports. And there's lots of kids from this area that have played in college in a lot of places.
And your daughter, interested in sports, obviously played at the high school level as well, but her true passion is totally different than her brother's.
Yeah, she got a horse when she was like 6 years old, and all she wanted to do was be on a horse. And in Reno, you live in this big, sort of urban city area, and you can go 20 minutes almost in any direction. And we had a horse boarded out in an area called Red Rock, and she wanted nothing more to be on a horse. And you can just ride, or you can get into other programs if you want to jump horses or do all kinds of other sports related things with horses. But for her, it was more just the enjoyment of riding a horse.
I wanted to shift gears a little bit. In You go to school here, you build your family here. They're well supported in their interests, whether it was sports or being outside, riding horses and that sort of thing. But the two of you also decided to build a company here. How has the Reno Valley really supported you in your endeavor as a business owner?
Even before we opened up our own business, my ex-wife got into real estate. And our former broker, Gary, that owned the RE/MAX office that we worked in, was always, because again, at that time, most realtors were 50 plus years old and we were in our 20s. I mean, she got a license, I think, at 23 or 4. They were always very good at trying to help you be whatever it is you wanted to be, have a business, whatever it is you wanted to accomplish. And then eventually, as our old broker sold his company and we started our own company, locally, be it local bank financing, SBA loans, going up to the university to help you learn how to run an actual business, even though I have a degree in finance and business. The local support, especially for a real estate company where you're helping all local people, it was amazing. I mean, you have a real estate company as well. I mean, do you feel like that happens in your community as well?
I think the support that you get in a smaller community like Reno is really unique, and it creates opportunity for an entrepreneur. And you also have an economic development arm in the Valley, and it has done such an incredible job with a strategic plan for helping small business as well as large business growth, which all ties back to real estate and the fact that all these people need a place to live.
The company you sort of briefly touched on is called EDON. It's the Economic Development, I think, of Western Nevada. I can't remember the exact term for it, but they got really involved in trying to bring companies and businesses to our area. Out east of Reno on your way to Fernley, which is technically not in Reno Sparks, it's Trick. It's called Trick. It's like the biggest
Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. It is the largest industrial center. It's being developed on 160 square miles.
It's crazy. We actually drove there recently because you cut through there on your way to Las Vegas from Reno, and the amount of opportunity and growth for companies out there. But if you go to their website, it's like Trick, or if you go to EDON's website, you can see the list of companies that are already there. And like you said, that full circles into them being associated with the university and bringing in people that want to live here, and it all funnels back into our wonderful little real estate business.
Companies like Tesla, they brought in over 4,000 employees, and they continue to grow. Switch Data, Walmart Distribution, Google alone is taking over 1,200-acre site for a data center. Blockchain, FedEx Supply Chain, Panasonic, other large data centers, call centers, distribution, storage facilities. It's an amazing industrial development that's happening here in Reno.
And it's the reason why when all the people talk about they're waiting for prices to go down here, it's not going to happen. There's too many people coming here, whether it's from California. And really the biggest thing that all did, and by Tesla coming here, is it put Reno on the map so that when people hear about or speak about Reno Tahoe, they don't think of us as this small little cowboy town that it used to be when I first got here. And all people were worried about was gaming and casinos and drinking. And that's how the economy ran. And now all these companies and all different kinds of tech jobs have really changed our community, the way real estate works here, the way the university works here, so that they're trying to get people to come to school here, get jobs here, and stay here, which is a huge accomplishment if you can do it.
How would you describe the way that Reno is prepared for this growth? From the outside, for me looking in and reading about Trick and what the EDON is doing and so forth, it's so impressive, but that's a lot of growth. Another thing I've noticed is whenever we're driving around town, oh my gosh, the freeway system is amazing. The signage, as a newer person to the Valley, it's really easy to get around. How have you seen Reno change in response to all of this new development and economic change?
I think when you have that kind of change, and in the 34 years I've lived here, our community size is more than doubled. You're always going to have your challenges. You're always going to have your issues. But if you came here today and checked out where the Spaghetti Bowl freeway interchange is, it's now 12 or 14 miles, where 80 and 395 come together.
Spaghetti Bowl,
that's what we call it. It's crazy. Like I said, it's amazing. And now the 2 or 3 years we were going through the process, like everybody, you just hate to have to go through it, but you had to. It's amazing how much growth and how much they've done there. If you go to the airport and flying out of Reno right now, where it used to be drop-off is now closed because they're redoing a bunch of stuff to the airport for the growth that we're having. The schools that my kids went to when I moved here weren't schools here. They didn't even happen. And so it used to just be McCarran Loop, 80 east and west, 395 north and south, and that was it. But they've done, in my opinion, a relatively good job growing in a manner that was smart But, you're always going to have your growing pains when you have a community like ours.
There's certain areas where the lanes are 12 across. It looks a little bit like LA in some ways, but you really don't have that sense of a big city. And I love how there's so much planning involved so that as a community member, it eases your entry into getting around town and enjoying everything across the valley.
Yeah, they're doing a great job with it. I mean, you've been coming here now for a couple of years, and the restaurants have gotten better and the shopping has gotten better. And if you go into those downtown areas that used to be just strictly a lot of old casinos, many of them have been redone. Some of them have been converted into condos, and that whole downtown area has gotten way better, way more amazing, where the Truckee River runs right through the middle of town. So if you come here and you haven't been here in a long time, or someone who's, thinks of Reno the way they thought it 20, 30 years ago, it is completely changed, and mostly for the better.
Yeah, getting rid of kind of a seedier downtown and the biggest little city and all of that, and really making it more of an economic engine. You have multiple employers, which creates a more stable economy here, stable housing, good school systems. It really fuels all the things I think that most people are looking for.
Well, yeah. I mean, definitely getting away from just casino and gambling revenues and taxes on hotels and rental cars and those kind of things. We still have those, but it's become a much smaller piece of our overall economic engine that happens here. And so now when the markets or the economies are having their ups and downs, Reno is not going to see, or the whole state of Nevada for that matter, is not going to see quite the dramatic boom and bust that we may have seen in the past. And for someone who's lived in the state since 1979, I hate to say that, I'm dating myself now, we've seen lots of booms and busts in this state. I think now we've definitely stabilized that much more, so you won't see that happen nearly to the effect that it used to.
I think Reno is a city, it's really exciting to watch its planned growth, and it has a strategy and a bright, bright future. For crying out loud, when we drive down Virginia, now it goes all the way out in areas that you told me before this was the end of the line, and there's huge apartment complexes and housing developments.
My son works for a construction company, and you're watching these apartment buildings go up all over town. Areas way to the south, off of Mount Rose Highway, which would be the direction you would go to all the ski resorts up at the east end of Lake Tahoe, which is not that far away. It's funny how close people live to it now that it didn't used to be that way. But, all the opportunities we had here 30 years ago when I came here as a young man, went to school, and watching the growth are still available to people that come here. And I think in a lot of places, they're just not anymore.
I would agree. I think it's one of the unique features of Reno. You can get an excellent education here. I understood through EDON how much they're working with the university to train up engineers, technicians, to support the industry that's come here.
Yeah, the whole community has done a good job of trying to intermix what education you get at school to actually get you a job to stay in our community. And whether you were looking to get a job, or you start off in a job and someday you wanted to start your own business, the opportunity in our state is here because you can get financing for it. You can get help from companies like EDON or the university. There's just, in my opinion, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon, just lots of opportunity, especially for a younger person that might come here as a college student, as an 18-year-old, between starting off here at 18 and now as someone who's 52, who was here as just a student, never planning on staying, who then raised kids here, and watch a lot of my friends and family and people I know have great success here, whether they had a job at a company or started their own business. I think that's just going to continue forward, which in a lot of places, I don't think it is.
So you can go to school, you get to raise a family, the incredible business support as an entrepreneur that has really made a big difference in your business and in your life create this very successful company. I
mean, we've always had the help that we needed, the support that we've needed. And again, once you've kind of entrenched yourself in a community, especially when you're in a real estate business, when it's all about one person at a time and helping all those people, it's been a great ride. Like I said, I would tell people all the time, if you had young kids and you weren't sure that, or maybe you're unhappy where you currently live and you're looking for somewhere to go, it's an amazing place to raise kids. Lots to do, whether it's indoor, outdoor, doesn't matter what ages they are. It's just, I still think an up and coming place. It's maybe not quite the hidden gem it used to be, because the word has gotten out ever since Tesla and some of these big companies came. But long term, I think you can have a lot of good success here if it's somewhere you're looking to be.
So let's chat about some of the other tertiary benefits of the change that has come here. One is, we talked about the revitalization of downtown. You guys have some amazing restaurants. People would not associate Reno with great dining. You have that.
Yes.
You have so much outdoor recreation. I can't wait to get on a trail or ski at Mount Rose or drop down to the lake. It's fantastic.
Right. Well, that's the nice part of having someone who's only been coming here for the most part the last couple of years, to see someone else's perspective. I think sometimes when you live somewhere, places like Lake Tahoe for us just get to be common because we have access whenever we want. But mean, you tell me, for someone who's been coming here now for a couple of years, as a person that didn't know anything about Reno before, are you seeing a lot of the things that we're talking about?
Yeah, I would say I was most impressed by the beauty. That has really surprised me. The mountains are really spectacular. Let's be honest. They really are. And the fact that there's so much outdoor recreation here within minutes of your door, I think that that's something that's really special. So I can make a good living. I can own a beautiful home. I have great school system. And oh, by the way, I get to be outside all the time, which makes my heart very happy. So there's so many incredible features of why not to live here. I just think it checks the box for a lot of people who are considering a move.
Well, like I said, especially for people that want to get outside and do it quickly, because you can literally within about a 2 to 3 hour circle around our community. I don't think people realize how much there is actually to do, and whether it doesn't matter if it's summer or winter, spring or fall, there's always something going on.
I agree.
And it just depends on what you're into. And if you can dream it up or you're looking for it, I know you can find it without going too far from here.
I think Reno is such a great place to live, work, and play.
And hopefully they'll still consider us the biggest little city, because as we're now 500,000 plus in our valley, it's getting harder and harder, I think, for people to believe that we're the biggest little city. But for someone who's been here for 30 plus years, it's a great place. And for someone who's been coming here for a couple, I'm glad you're getting to see the pros of what we try to sell as locals here. I know some of the old guard, doesn't want more people to come here and doesn't want more growth, but growth is how it benefits all of us if it's done in a way that is smart and thoughtful. And I just think it's a community that's still on the up and up.